Hi, welcome to my February reading wrap up, and these are the 8 books that I read in the month of February. So, the first book I read is Better Than the Movie by Lynn Painter. This is my first Lynn Painter book. I actually read this also for a vlog I'll leave here. I read this on a drive to and from New York on a very snowy day. It was a 5 star. It has the whole fake dating trope, which I really love, among some other tropes, which I won't spoil for you, but it follows Liz and Wes. They've been fighting over this parking spot, but this guy that she likes returned to their high school, and she made a deal that if Wes helped her to basically make this guy like her, she will give him the parking lot, and they have some really cute rom-commy moments. Liz's mom also died, and that also plays a lot with how she dresses and views herself, amongst other things. At the start of every chapter, however, they have these little rom-commy quotes. I'm not really a big fan of rom-com, which is why I thought I would not have enjoyed this book, but I really loved it. 100% recommend. The next book I read is The Woman by Kristen Hanna, and this followed Frances McGrath, who decided to. She was a nurse, and her brother went off to the Vietnamese War, and after he got deployed, is it deployed? I don't know. After he went to war, she decided that she was gonna sign up as a nurse, or she was gonna join the military actually. However, that didn't work out, so she ended up going there as a part of the Army Nurse Corps. She met two people, Ethel and Barb, which they were really really good friends. And I really loved how this book shows that despite how people like to say that women did not help during the time of the war, they did contribute it. And I always loved military books because I myself wanted to be a soldier at some point. um, so I love how it actually talks about PTSD, and there's a lot of stuff that this book talks about, and I don't want to spoil any of it for you. I rated this book a 4 star because I felt like I love everything else, but the last few chapters felt a little bit dragged out. I think it was like 400 or 500 pages long, but I read this on my Kindle, and Kindle will extend the pages or something. But I remember that the last few chapters were really dragged out. It it made sense to the story, and I end up loving how the story ended because Frances did go through a lot. She had a lot of losses. She didn't really have the support that she needed, and she went through PTSD, which although I've never experienced that level of trauma, as someone who follows a lot of military stuff, I know how serious PTSD is, and she didn't really have that support. So I love how the book ended. I just felt that it would have and it could have come to the same conclusion without the last few chapters. So the next book I read is That Girl Can't Tell Secret by Chelsea Ikaho. I always get her name wrong. However, this follows Savannah. Her something wrong happened to her sister, which they're up at some mountain they call Suicidal Hill or Suicide Mountain. And so we see Savannah throughout the entire book trying to discover what happened to her sister. She also blames herself because before this accident or suicide or whatever, she had a falling out with her sister. The suspense was there, as to what happened to her sister, Piper. I didn't like it. I felt the pace was too slow. There were a lot of secrets, and this was a YA mystery, by the way. There were a lot of secrets, but it is like low stake mystery, nothing big. The way how it had me at the edge of my seat, it was very disappointing to find out that that's what happened. Also, there were no, like, I don't know if it's because of how old I am, but when I read a mystery or thriller or suspense, I love when the party that caused whatever has consequences. There were no consequences to this person's action, which I don't know, I didn't really like that. It was a 3 star for me, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because I was read this during a time where I was into fantasy and romance or whatever, but I didn't enjoy this book. But it was a good read. The suspense was there, the mystery was there, so 3 star. Then I read Archer's Voice, and before I give you like a little synopsis, I have to say I started reading Archer's Voice a while back um for this reading vlog, and I I classified Archer's Voice as trauma romance. Any romance that the focus of the romance is built on the character's trauma romance for me, don't come for me. I like to put things in boxes and categories. And at first at 112 or no, at 106 pages, I had stopped reading this book, and then when I did my 5 book in 5 day series, I picked it up again while I was working on, because I also had the audiobook along with the physical book. I was working on a nice sweater vest, and I picked it up again, and I'm glad I took a break from it and read it again, because had I read it the same day that I did that vlog, I probably would not have enjoyed it, because the first 106 pages felt was too much heavily focused on the trauma that Archer went through along with Bree. So Bree father, someone came into Bree father's establishment and basically shot him and then tried to essay Bree. And so she moved away from the only life she knew to go to Pelican Valley, because that was the last Pelican Lake. What? I always say Pelican Valley. Pelican Lake, because that was the last place her family spent time together when they were really happy. Because shortly after they came back, her mom was diagnosed with some sort of cancer. And then Archer, everyone in this town treats Archer really bad, even though his family owns the town, and mainly because he's not able to speak because his voice box was removed as a kid. However, I do love the title of the book, Archer's Voice, because although Archer cannot vocalize his speech, he did um, end up getting his voice. What I love is that also there's a part where Archer basically moved out of that town and went out to find himself, because prior to when Archer was a kid growing up, he did not really leave his house. And as someone who loves staying at home, I know how boxed in you can be when you stay at home too long. And then when you finally have to run out to Walmart and you see all the music and you see all the noise, how everything is so unfamiliar to you. So I'm glad that Archer got to distance himself from the people who has basically been treating him like a pariah all his life. 5 star, absolutely recommend. The next book I read is Wisteria by Adeline Grace, which is book 3 of the Belladonna series. Now, this is the first I've ever finished a series so fast, within 2 months. Book 1 was like my first 5 star of 2025, and so while this series is now close to my heart, I don't think nothing will ever compare to The Letters of Entrapment, which is Divine Rivals and Westfall. Needless to say, book 3, I love how book 3 ended. It follows Blight, Hawthorne, and Aris. He's Fate in. I don't want to say too much, because if you've not read book 1, this would be a lot of spoilers. But this follows Blight and Aris, which is Fate. As if you've read this, you've met him. And I'm just gonna say this was a 5 star. I really love their romance. It Fate was previously in love with Light, and he spent his entire life basically looking for life, and he end up Fate, when he makes a deal, he never breaks it. So by some deal, he end up marrying Blight, and she isn't life, and we see him struggling against his feelings for her, because he feels that he's betraying life, which is the woman he loves, and he calls her Sweet Briar. I don't know, like sometimes I don't like when the guys in books give women a name, But what I love about the romance in this, and it's something that I don't see done often, is I don't think the male love interest has to be treat her bad and as a way to protect her and then pretends he loves her or whatever. So I love that although he kind of hates her because she's not the woman he wanted to marry, yada yada yada, he doesn't hurt her. I don't know. I don't know because people like to think that it's only mafia romance they do that stuff in, but I've read a lot of non-mafia romance where the main love interest would I think they're calling it bully romance or something along that line, where he'll treat her like really bad and then he'll do some stuff about pretending he loves her, whatever. This book did not have that, and I think I enjoy romance book more when I get to see that men are able to be human and vulnerable. So I really love this, and as I said, this series is dear to my heart for a lot of reasons. Then I read Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and this was also a 5 star. It is a YA fantasy. It follows Mary Barrow, and she lives in a world where the color of your blood basically determine your status. So if you have silver blood, you're basically an elite and you have powers. And if you have red blood, you basically serve the elites. Now, Mary's gonna end up realizing that she also has powers, which I really love the way how Victoria Aveyard did this. I'm gonna be honest, I read this because I've been meaning to read this for years, to be honest, but then the whole Red Queen, powerless stealing the idea from imitating Red Queen or whatever the story is on TikTok really made me want to read Red Queen and then Powerless just to see. But needless to say, I love how the info like normally I've read fantasy where they try to let teach you about the world within like the first few chapters and then the rest of the chapters they don't tell you anything new about the world. And Lightlar kind of did this, where even in the first few chapters, um, Isla kept telling me about the Centennial over and over again. And what I love about this is that we learn about this world as time progresses. Now I'm bad at names, so I might not remember like exactly word for word what happened, but I know they have this thing where when you reach 18, if you don't have like a job or you're not into any working class, they send you off to like fight the wars or whatever. Um, and I love that. I love when the title of a book basically tells you what the book is about. There are many things I love about this book, to be completely honest. It was a 5 star. I don't know. What sometimes when I read a book and I really love it, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for other people. So when you read it, your opinion of the book is not influenced by me. So now, the next book I read is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. Now, I'm gonna say this is a 3 star, which is very disappointing because normally, like when I want like a good thriller with massive plot twists, Alice Feeney is like my go-to girl. And with Beautiful Ugly, I don't know. It follows this writer who, on the day of like his book hidden bestseller, his wife goes missing. A year later, he visits this mysterious island and he sees her everywhere. And I don't know, I didn't like it was. I was making some crochet roses, which are right here, when I listened to this book because I listened to the audiobook and I didn't like the suspense was there. I didn't enjoy this book. Nothing made sense. And the entire stuff about the island didn't make sense. The island needs an author didn't make sense. I don't know. And I don't know what caused the new rise in almost every writer wanting to include, is it Scotland? I don't know, either Ireland, Scotland, I don't know. It was set in one of those countries, but I don't know what the whole obsession with it, and it's not like they're sticking to any of the I don't know. So the last book I read was A Teacher by Frida McFadden, and this follows Eve Bennett, a teacher and a student called Addie Severson. So it is told from both of their point of view. This was a 3 star. I really the plot twist was there, though predictable. There was a lot of inappropriate relationships. And forgive me if I'm spoiling this for anyone. I really don't. I don't know, maybe when I was a kid and my frontal lobe wasn't developed, I might have been one of those people who was okay ish because I was a child with teachers dating students. It's one of the reasons why I did not enjoy Pretty Little Liars because I could not get with Aria. I don't even know. Is her name Aria? Whomever her name is, dating Ezra. I don't I don't ever want to live in a world where adults, especially teachers or people of a in a power, whether men or women, in a power status, making it okay to date their subordinates under a certain age. However, needless to say, I I don't know, like when I just started reading again in 2023, one of the first books I remember reading was Never a Lie by Frida McFadden. And I have her down as one of the people who are really good at psychological thrillers, but I just could not get behind this. But now the plot twist was there, so it was good. I just think that I don't think you need to put certain things in books for I know this book could have gone like multiple other ways if it was too con consenting adults. Also, one of the reasons why I think it is bad for people to write or authors to write books like these, and I'm not bashing the authors, so no one comes for me. I um I read a lot of books I wasn't supposed to be reading in high school. I remember I read the entire 50 Shades of Grey long before the movie came out. So if you know, you know. And I was young, I wasn't dating anyone. And now, when you have kids, probably 16, 17, reading these books, I just believe that they paint the wrong idea. However, I'm an adult. Didn't support it. I didn't see how it contributed to the plot in any way. But this is a 3 star, and those are the 8 books that I read this month, or no, it's March now. Those are the 8 books I read last month. Let me know how many books you read. The what were your favorite? What were your least favorite? And with that, have a wonderful month. With that said, have a wonderful year, month, week, day, hour, minute, second, and I'll see you in another video.